Of KCAL News at 8. West Covina police are in pursuit of a vehicle that took off from a traffic stop. Our Desmond Shaw just got overhead in SkyCal. Des, we've been on and off the freeway. Now we are back off.
Yes, yes, we are. We are paralleling the 57 here in Diamond Bar with a very crazy driver. In fact, we heard the Sheriff's Department helicopter overhead calling this guy gamey because really behaving like an animal. Look at this.
Ooh.
Wow, I think he might have even just, definitely traded some paint, I believe, with that driver right there who's wondering what's going on. That guy is not very happy. This was all a failure to yield. This guy was being pulled over maybe for driving crazy and then took off from West Covina officers. That was on the 10 near the 605. Then we went east 10, south 57, 95 miles an hour on the right-hand shoulder here on Diamond Bar Boulevard. This is a very capable vehicle, a Dodge Charger, huge V8 engine, a lot of straight-line power, and this person driving like an absolute lunatic over 100 miles an hour right now. Sheriff's Department having trouble keeping up with this one. This is a very, very frightening pursuit, Mike.
And Des, right in that bike lane, going 95 miles an hour. Imagine if somebody was out for an afternoon or an evening kind of bike ride there going through this. Now, as you mentioned, Desmond, this was just a failure to yield. West Covina police were told we're on a traffic stop with this person, and this person took off from that traffic stop, and the chase has been on. Got on the freeway a couple of times. We've been on the 10, the 57, and the 60. CHP was not asked to take over. West Covina said they wanted to keep this. Sheriff's Department's helicopter is overhead, but CHP was never requested. So we're still listening to them. They are still monitoring and calling it out. It sounds like CHP may now be trying to get some people in place here, but Desmond, 95 miles an hour on surface streets with this very high-performance vehicle.
Yeah, totally insane. I mean, you don't even have any units directly behind this person right there. And you can see there's the Knights on the spotlight there from the sheriff's deputies, and they've been having trouble just keeping up with this guy. You saw the spotlight kind of on and off. They, I believe, may have actually lost this vehicle at one point, but have reacquired the target. So you see, even without any units directly behind this person, they're still driving like an absolute crazy person right now here along Diamond Bar Boulevard, paralleling the 60-57 interchange. Yeah, Mike, you were saying there in the bike lane right there, I mean, that could have been horribly tragic for anyone who is out on a bike ride. When you're going this fast on a surface street, there is no way that you can react in enough time, no matter how capable of a driver you are, to any kind of obstacle, someone pulling out, trying to make a right turn, anyone that might be in the bicycle lane there. So this is definitely a very frightening pursuit.
Yeah, and Des, we're joined now at the anchor desk, Susie Such, Chauncey Glover. Wild speeds here on surface streets, you guys.
Yeah, Mike, and we've been watching this, and I'm just so surprised it's going so fast on these surface streets, and all because of this failure to yield, pulled over by police, and then suddenly takes off during the traffic stop, which begs the question, what's wrong here? Do you have warrants? Why did he just suddenly take off? Here we go as he approaches some cars here. But Mike, you were talking about how this all started as a failure to yield.
Right, and that's, we always try to, the first thing we do at the desk here when we hear a pursuit is we try to get what's called the want. Why are they chasing them? What's the want here? And this one is just failure to yield. Not reported stolen as far as we know, as we're getting back on the freeway. This may get CHP's attention. They may want to take this over now.
Yeah.
They hadn't before, but now that we're getting back, what is this, Des, the northbound 57?
Really, yeah. This is going to be the eastbound 60, so right away from the split here, this will take us towards Pomona and the Inland Empire. At least we're off of the surface streets. A little bit of kind of leftover evening traffic here for this suspect to zigzag through, and we can see here no hesitation at all to pull out all the stops to try to get ahead of the traffic, but at least we're in a situation where everyone is going the same direction. I got to tell you, with this vehicle, even though it has a lot of straight line power, rear wheel drive, if he starts, turning the wheel a little bit too hard, jerking the steering wheel, this car could spin out very easily. This is not a sports car like a Ferrari or something that has incredibly tight handling. So you have a lot of raw power with this vehicle, but with these kind of speeds, this kind of vehicle, very easy to lose control. So still extremely nerve-wracking here as we approach 100 miles an hour here again, blasting our way towards Pomona.
I mean, at these speeds, as Desmond was talking about, easy for this driver to lose control, but also easy for the public to be in danger. I mean, there are so many factors that are being factored into this right now by different agencies. I'm sure, as Mike was saying, perhaps the CHP might actually join this or actually take over if this perhaps continues on the freeway. But we've been seeing, I mean, upward speeds of upwards of hundreds of miles. I mean, 95 miles on the surface streets, just insane. And, you know, we talk about the various, stopping methods that the CHP or other agencies might, have here, but it's very difficult at speeds like this. I mean, we're talking getting so close
hard on the brakes there, yeah.
You know, and almost trading paint, or maybe even trading paint with other cars as well. And, you know, they are so limited in what they can do because they don't want to put their officers nor the public in danger.
Yeah, and you know, the whole point of tracking mode, which is kind of what we're in right now, is to get the driver to calm down. Clearly that is not working if he's willing to go, 90 miles an hour on surface streets, over 100 on the freeway. You know, Des mentioned it a little bit. The only thing that gives me a little bit of solace is that everyone's going the same direction. There's no pedestrians on the freeway, you know. Obviously, you could still have a horrendous high-speed crash here, but the risk is just slightly lower.
Mike, talk about this traffic stop. Do we know where this originated from?
No, not yet. So it was in the city of West Covina, which is back, you know, towards kind of the west from where we're at now. West Covina PD was the one who started it. You know, each agency is different, what they will and won't chase. Generally, I can say pretty much across the board, when you have somebody flee from a traffic stop and the only thing you wanted them for was a traffic violation, I don't know that we would still be in this position. So I'm curious as to what, obviously the police officers know more than what we know. So it just makes me wonder, why are they chasing this so hard? And West Covina is not a big agency. Once it got on the freeway, why not relinquish it to CHP? So was there something else going on that they wanted to keep it?
Yeah, I was just going to ask that same question. What else is going on that they need to run away from authorities if it's just a traffic violation? Obviously, there's something else going on here. And at these high rates of speed, I mean, it's difficult to watch this because we don't know what's going to happen. And obviously, this is live television, and we're showing this to you live here on an early edition of KCAL News at 8. We're also streaming live on CBS News Los Angeles. I want to welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us. We are watching this police pursuit happening right now. West Covina Police Department in pursuit of this vehicle, Dodge Challenger. As far as we know, lots of speed, lots of power on this car. And they went through surface streets in the city of Diamond Bar, along Diamond Bar Boulevard, at high rates of speed, 90 plus miles per hour. Just such a dangerous situation. And we haven't seen any CHP units or ground units engaged yet. And you can clearly see why it would be very difficult for officers to keep up with this person. Along with the fact that it's going to put the danger, I mean, the safety of the public in danger.
Yeah, and I am listening to the radio. There are units behind him that have eyes on him, but they are not right up on him.
So they're far back.
So they're back there. CHP is aware, but as you mentioned, I mean, you know, how are you going to drive? You can't drive like this guy's driving,
weaving in and out, of traffic.
And Desmond, I'm listening to your reactions up there, and I mean, a lot of close calls here as this driver is weaving in and out of traffic, going at this high rate of speed.
It's really insane, and we saw the driver a couple of times now on the right-hand shoulder with a bunch of debris getting kicked up. Like that, which really just amplifies the danger. You know, there's a lot of junk on the right-hand shoulder. We've all seen it when we're out there driving. That's where CHP will push debris for Caltrans to sweep up at some point. But stuff can accumulate on that right-hand shoulder. You're talking about 100, 120 miles an hour, and all it takes is a little piece of metal or something like that to hit your tire. You could have a tire blowout, and this could go south really, really quickly. So it's just really insane, all of those stops that we're seeing this driver pull out here as they zigzag through all kinds of traffic, threading the needle left and right through the left lane to the right lane and back again. And you know, I'm hearing kind of some chatter here just from the helicopter overhead. We'll see what we're doing now as we're making our way into San Bernardino County, if we're going to have their sheriff's deputies come in and get involved in this, or you know, the CHP's Inland Empire Division. As well. So, you know, Mike said that they have units hanging back there, but it's going to be hard to keep eyes on this person just because they are so crazy. But you can see they do still have the spotlight overhead. And actually kind of slowing down a little bit here. You know, hopefully this guy didn't have a whole tank of gas. You know, driving 120 miles an hour, this big V8 like that, you're going to guzzle some gallons pretty quickly. Hopefully this person didn't have too much gas and they'll just run out of it at, you know, some point, hopefully sooner rather than later.
And really quick, you know, Des, you say this guy, we're actually hearing that this might be a woman in the driver's seat here. So, you know, it's unclear, you know, did the officers were they able to make it to the driver's side door and have a conversation with this person? Does this person take off before that interaction happened?
Maybe a witness?
Right, maybe something like that. But, I do see CHP's helicopter coming up behind, so you'll have LA County Sheriff's and CHP Des, we're slowing down and getting off the freeway now.
Yeah. Yeah, slowing way down and off the freeway, and that kind of makes me wonder, maybe we are running out of gas. Let's hope so. Anyway, for the benefit of everyone here.
Door's open.
Yeah, look at this now. The door is open. All of a sudden, out and running.
Oh,
We got a couple of people. There's four people. Four people in the car, and they left the vehicle in drive. We're going to follow the driver. That's the one that they want the most. They've got the spotlight on them right here, running into a Chevron station, but everybody's scattered, and it's going to be really hard for them to apprehend all four of them. Let's see if they can at least get the driver, somebody else running, maybe just kind of frightened at what's going on. Back across Euclid, right in front of some vehicles, back west to where they ditched the vehicle. Let's see if they're going to, hopefully they're not going to try to take someone else's car, but over a fence now, and hopefully we get some units in to get this person in custody. But again, four people we saw jump out of the cars, scattering. And here's, looks like another one might have jumped
the second
up. So
suspect.
Now running together now. Let's see how much energy they have. They're going to have to hop a wall to try to get over this. We got some tree cover and into a neighborhood, maybe into some folks' yard here off of Geyer Court and Euclid Avenue, guys.
And it looks like, Desmond, that car just rolled to a stop there, thankfully not running into anything or hitting anyone.
Yeah, they left it in drive, it's, but, really low speeds at least, so it might have bumped into something. We'll see later once this is all said and done. We heard the sheriffs saying that we have two of them here under the spotlight somewhere, but now we're in a neighborhood where we've got some trees, we've got some awnings, looks like we have some covered patios. There's one of them right there. Not sure if that's the suspect, the driver, or the other one, but just ran back here right by that satellite dish. But a total of four. They have the spotlight hopefully on at least one of them here. And there's a kitty cat running around out there after all the commotion. So just glad that the danger to the public is over as far as the maniacal driving. At least we have that.
And Mike, I don't know if you noticed this, but it seemed like that all of the folks who jumped out of the car were wearing black.
Yeah, I think there was one person, I'm going to play back Desmond's video really quick, but I think there was one person that might have been wearing red. But yeah, that's going to make things harder. It's nighttime, and this is what always happens, unfortunately. And rightfully so, they needed to back off because it was unsafe to follow. But now there was nobody behind them to catch them once they get out of the car. And now, unfortunately, we are now hiding in someone's backyard who hopefully is either not home or... Here. You got somebody else there, Des?
Yep. I just saw somebody else run from the fence line underneath this covered patio. So I think the two people that we saw running together, I think they're both kind of in the same area where the sheriff's spotlight is focusing on this one home. So, unclear if anyone's home or not. I don't see any cars in the driveway. Don't see any lights on. Hopefully they're not going to try to get inside of that home. But we have not seen any movement here in a couple of minutes on this home here, this home off of, I believe this is Geyer Court off of Euclid Avenue.
And you can see how difficult of a situation this can be for officers, as Mike was talking about, when you have a tracking or a following situation where officers are following the car with the chopper overhead, and then they got ground units who backed off because of the fact that this person was going at such high rates of speed. They're not going to be able to get there as fast as they want to, so they're certainly relying on that night sun and the Sheriff's Department helicopter overhead to guide them in. And hopefully their communications, and that's what they're doing right now, their communications are going on right now in interagencies, I'm sure right now, with the West Covina Police Department as well as the Sheriff's Department. And the CHP also was on the freeway for a minute. I don't know if they're going to be joining in on this, but certainly whenever the ground units arrive, they will set up a perimeter around this area. We know that we're searching for 4 people from this car after this pursuit, after they left the car and drive and ditched the car. It looked like they scattered in various directions, and then we saw 2 of them at least running together in what Chauncey was pointing out was dark colored clothing.
Right there on the right of the house, Des. Just went through that yard up to the north.
Yeah, and this gets even more dangerous because you have people possibly inside of these homes. We
not
don't know
knowing what's going on.
Yeah, and we don't know how desperate these suspects are. And Mike, you had just mentioned that that the driver might have been a woman, and then all of a sudden they roll and stop. And I, couldn't have guessed this, but 4 people just dashing out of this car.
Yeah, 4 people getting out. You know, the good news is they do have a second helicopter up there. CHP's helicopter got on scene as well, so they're able to help look. But, you know, just as we were talking, I saw one of the people run under where that light is, under that second tree canopy. So now they may be separated, which is another issue. You do have units coming, but they're not here yet. And you've got, you know, we're in the city of Ontario. There I see some flashing lights now. So you got some people coming down the street, but I mean, these guys have had a tremendous head start to either hide or do something. That's a CHP unit that's pulling up right now. So hopefully they can guide them in to at least get the driver or get one of the people that were involved here. But that other person I saw kind of took off through the houses back towards the freeway there.
Yeah, and imagine, you know, the units on the ground there, when they do arrive, they're going to make sure that, you know, the public safety is number one. The fact that there are neighbors around, that these individuals could be armed. We don't know that either. You know, what was the other offense that they were running from? Offenses, perhaps, aside from a simple traffic violation. 4 people running from that. So you got to, you know, wonder what else is going on in there. But right now, the search continues for 4 suspects after a pursuit. I believe this is the city of Ontario, Mike, am I right? Yeah,
we're just south of the 60 freeway, so we're kind of bordering, you know, Chino, Ontario area, but I don't know, that's a local unit right there. I mean, can't tell which agency, but on the left, that's a CHP patrol car. So they're finally starting to get into the area, but you know, you're talking, the light that you're looking at right here is from an LA County Sheriff's deputy helicopter who is, no, this is, they're going to see, they're going to detain this person and he has nothing to do with it. I think that's a neighbor that's been here the whole time, or maybe they're just pointing him in the right direction.
He was actually trying to get his attention with the flashlight and pointing him over to this area. And we heard the air traffic up here saying that they believe that one is inside of a shed and that the other, I believe they said, underneath a patio awning here. So between these 3 houses is where the 2 suspects believed to be. We'll see if they are still holed up in that area. But now we have one of the highway patrol officers, it looks like, coming to investigate this backyard. So we'll move around and see what we can see. Unfortunately, you know, pretty dark and a lot to hide underneath here with these awnings and the trees, you know, on top of the darkness, and they were wearing dark clothing. So pretty tough. And like you said, Mike, they did get a pretty big head start here from those ground units.
And do you know if that CHP ship, the CHP ship usually does, but if the sheriff's ship, either one of them have FLIR, they can detect some heat signatures?
We haven't heard them talking about it yet. If they have it on the FLIR, they are talking back and forth. I know they will usually say that. You would think that, you know, with these cold temperatures that we're having and probably the body heat generated from running the way those suspects were, that they would be able to get a pretty good detection with that system. So we know that at least one of those 2, if it's working, that they should have that. So we'll see if they're able to. They did just reiterate, though, that they do not have anyone in custody at this point of the 4 that got out of that vehicle.
And Desmond, it looks like a pretty good distance from when they jumped out of the car, ran through that parking lot, jumped over jumped over that fence, and then into this neighborhood. It doesn't look close. It looks like they had to have a pretty good trek there to get to this neighborhood.
Yeah, well, let's see here as we widen out. It looks like, yeah, they came off the freeway and were able to make the turn right here. Actually, frankly, kind of looks like the suspects might have taken the tough route here, you know, hopping over a fence and into the neighborhood here when they probably could have just, you know, walked across the cul-de-sac and saved some energy. But unless they manage to evade the spotlight, which is certainly possible, they should be holed up here. One of them in one of these last 3 houses here along Geyer Court.
Maybe a good time to remind our viewers too that if you are a resident of this area, if you live in this area, maybe a good time to lock your doors and lock your windows. Obviously, lots of police activity happening outside, and we don't know where you know, many of these people are. Actually, there's 4, and Desmond believes one is inside a shed right now. We saw them running in different directions, but it's unclear right now. The search continues. The ground units just arriving there to set up a perimeter and begin their search. And what they're going to do is they're going to set up that perimeter and kind of comb through each area of that perimeter to see where those suspects might have gone to, maybe talking to some neighbors. You know, have you seen anything? Did you see anyone running by? Or knocking on your door or anything like that. So just a good time to remind our viewers, if you are living in this area, just to stay inside your home, and if you do or hear anything or see anything, to contact authorities by phone and not go outside.
Yeah, because right now it's, and you hinted to this, Susie, it's unknown as to what these suspects may or may not do. They may or may not be armed, but what we do know is this started in the West Covina area with just a failure to yield. Police try to pull them over during this traffic stop. They take off. We know they were driving recklessly, 95 miles per hour, even on service streets, all the way to getting here to this neighborhood right here and letting the car just roll off, and 4 of those suspects getting out and jumping out of the car over the fence and now into this neighborhood as police are combing through this neighborhood on the scene, trying to find these guys. Mike?
Sorry about that. Just taking a phone call there, but yeah, they're luckily nobody was injured in that, when they were on the freeway driving those insanely high speeds. And Chauncey, we're still trying to figure out, why did West Covina stop them? What was that originally for? That made them run this hard. It could have been we talk about traffic stops, but it could have been a traffic stop because they were in a known high crime area. Sure. It could have been, there's all sorts of reasons for traffic stops that could be predicators to something else.
And why did West Covina stay with it?
Right. Why did they want it so bad? Why did they not give it up to CHP? Which, to be honest, I don't want to Monday morning quarterback this, but if they had given it to CHP, CHP generally doesn't do the tracking mode. No. So we had been in a situation where they would have been a little bit closer and been able to deal with this and been a little bit more in place, because also what happens is as we move from office to office, county to county, they notify the ones that are ahead of them to kind of be alert. But when the local agency hangs on to it, some of that communication doesn't always happen. So they're all here now, and hopefully they'll at least get the driver, because that's probably the one that they'll be able to hit with the most charges anyway, unless they know something about the passengers.
Yeah. Desmond, have you seen any more ground units arriving there?
I have not, but Susie, speaking of ground units, we just learned, part of the reason why it may have taken ground units so long to move in is there were some communication issues between the sheriff's deputies' helicopter and some of the ground units. It sounds like it wasn't until CHP was just about here that sheriffs were able to relay things to CHP, to their helicopter, and then from the CHP helicopter down to the ground units. So it was kind of a game of telephone that they were having to play. And we hear that the sheriff's helicopter is actually getting ready to leave to make way for Ontario PD that's going to come in and lend a hand. So they still are going to have 2 helicopters here, but it's now been, a pretty long time since they've tried to find these suspects. It looks like they're, hesitating going into the backyard on this one. They may be trying to get a heat signature with their FLIR. That's what they call their infrared system. But you see, they have not made entry into any of the backyards yet at this point.
So really quick, I just wanted to, Desmond, you were mentioning the communications issue. So that's what the issue is when we go between county to county. You also have the entire Inland Empire, with the exception of CHP, their radios are encrypted. So when you have outside agencies coming in, the sheriff's deputies, they can't talk to those ground units from that other county because those other counties' radios are encrypted and they don't have that set up.
And that's why, oftentimes we'll see the CHP, they won't want to join other agencies. They want it on their own. And they want it as one package.
And that's why, as Desmond was, exactly. And that's why Desmond was mentioning when the CHP helicopter got in, since that CHP helicopter is based out of Orange County, but also does stuff in San Bernardino County. They have those radio channels set up. They have the special radios. So, but then, as Desmond mentioned, it becomes a really ridiculous game of telephone where the ground units are talking to the sheriff's helicopter, who then has to tell the CHP helicopter, who then has to tell Ontario PD units. It's like
they're going to go in the backyard here.
Very delayed. Like. Oh, they're moving into the backyard, Des?
So come around. Yeah, it looks like they're coming around here into the backyard, so we'll make our way back there as well. We just heard there's a lot of chatter here between the now 3 helicopters that are here at the moment, and so they believe, they said one's in a tool shed, one they believe in a carport, and then a third suspect they think ran east into a motel. So if they're going to try to get all 4 people, this is going to turn into a real big operation, having to lock down a pretty big area. But they do believe that they have 2 of the suspects still in this area. May have been for the heat signature, like I said, from their infrared system. So we'll see. It was looking like they were getting ready to make entry into this backyard, but now a little bit more hesitation.
Yeah, if you're just joining us here on KCAL News at 8, this is an early edition of KCAL News at 8. We've been watching this pursuit for the good part of about 30 minutes now. 4 people inside this car on the right side of your screen. This is when the West Covina Police Department was in chase, and they still are, obviously looking for these individuals now after this chase. They pulled over in Ontario, and they just stopped right there and let the car go in drive. And 4 people, as we counted, came out of that car running and scattered in different directions, and since have been hiding inside this neighborhood as far as we know. Desmond talking about the fact that we believe that one is hiding inside a tool shed, one perhaps in a carport, and one maybe traveling a little bit more east to a motel. So there's also one more person that obviously police are searching for tonight. So we have 3 different agencies in the air alone, the CHP, the Ontario Police Department, and the LA County Sheriff's Department choppers all overhead helping with this search right now.
Yeah, and we were talking about, Mike, we were talking about this right before they just suddenly stopped, if they had enough gas, if they were going to run out of gas. And it, you know, begs the question because they just allowed the car to just stop right there and just continue rolling while they jumped out.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, the speeds that they were going going to chew through a lot of gas at those high speeds, and that car eats up a lot of gas. So yeah, I mean, when they got off the freeway, we never saw them kind of, you know, excel off the freeway. It looked like the car was just rolling the whole time. Yeah. So there is, I'm sure, a possibility that they ran out of gas. But, you know, I mean, who knows what these guys are thinking? They also looked pretty young. Were they just jumping out of the car and going and letting the car roll? You know, it just is remarkable the little that people think about others when this situation happens.
Yeah. We want to welcome our viewers now to KCAL News at 8, also streaming live on CBS News Los Angeles. Good evening, everyone. Alongside Chauncey Glover, Mike Rogers at the desk, Desmond Shaw and Sky Cal. I'm Susie Sa. We have been following this search for pursuit suspects for, as far as we know, after a pursuit that reached 95 miles per hour on surface streets. The driver then ditching the car right off the freeway, letting it go and drive. And now the search has been going on in this neighborhood in Ontario since. Mike Rogers at the desk with this update.
Yeah, I'm getting just some, they're talking about it right now. The owner of that Charger has contacted West Covina Police. They were carjacked.
Gotcha.
So here's why we're chasing them so hard. These suspects now, according to the radio traffic that is being distributed to CHP units, the car may have been carjacked by this person. So they say they want to talk to that driver, verify the story that is being told, verify her story. But the initial information that they're getting is the car may have been carjacked at gunpoint. And that heightens certainly the security level for these officers as well as this neighborhood. You know, they don't want to take any chances with people who are armed. How many, we don't even know how many of them could be armed.
Right. And 3 of those suspects wearing dark colored clothes and then jumping out and obviously trying to do whatever they can to get away from police. But before we leave this, right now, police still on the ground searching for those 2 suspects who may be holed up in a shed, and that 3rd suspect possibly moving in the east part of that area at a motel. Desmond Shaw up in Sky Cal, he's going to continue to watch this for us, as well as Mike Rogers monitoring this scene, and we'll bring you the very latest as we continue to watch it. Our other top story here tonight at 8.